With all software, and Cubase is no exception, it can happen, and it will happen sooner or later, that the program crashes. That's not only very annoying, but also absolutely nerve-wracking. Because in the first moment when a crash happens, you never really know what's wrong. And you always fear losing your project, your latest presets and precious recordings, right? Luckily with Cubase it's never really that bad, so that everything gets destroyed, and it doesn't happen very often, at least not for me. And 9 out of 10 times it's easy to fix, and I want to talk about the 2 types of crashes that are the most common on my system. Not in terms that they happen all of the time, you know, luckily not. No, only sometimes. It's a very rare occasion. But hold on, stop it. I know that some people are already going ballistic. That's because I don't know why. It's maybe the internet or whatever. Every time I post a video about Cubase, some guys are really losing their minds, and even worse, sometimes also their good manners. Which makes me wonder why they use Cubase at all, when it's really that bad. Maybe try a crack from a different hacker group. Just kidding, nobody does that. It was simply a joke. And all I'm saying is, I like a good rant every now and then, you know, but try to be nice and helpful. Please share your experience with Cubase crashes and how you fix them. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel before you rage quit. So let's have a look at the problem. The crash that happens the most is when I start Cubase and it shows me this window, the Safe Mode window. It tells me that Cubase didn't close correctly, but I have no idea why. I always shut down Cubase in the same way. I save the project, I close the project, and in the hub I click Quit Cubase. The only thing I notice sometimes is that the Quit Cubase button doesn't react when I click it. But Cubase shuts down anyway. No error message, everything looks alright. So when the Safe Mode window appears and I have no idea why, I simply ignore it and start Cubase the normal way. When you run into this situation, you know, there wasn't an obvious crash during your last session and Cubase seemed to close normally, you can ignore it and start Cubase with all third-party plugins activated and continue with your project. And if you really want to be sure everything's working fine, just restart Cubase one more time so that the Safe Mode screen doesn't appear. In my experience, Cubase is pretty good in fixing problems like that with a simple restart, and also the other option on the Safe Mode window can be very helpful. So let's talk about that as well. The second type of errors I want to talk about is a little bit more serious, it's a little bit more concerning and even more annoying. It's when you cannot open a project anymore. Cubase runs normally, but the moment you load the project, the program crashes. This actually happened to me just recently, which inspired me to make this video. This is my way to turn a bad thing into something good. In such a scenario, it's important that you try to remember what you did during the last session. I knew that I could open the broken project file, a number of times before the crash happened. But in the last session, I've added another VST instrument to the project. And it was a third-party plugin I haven't used in a long time, and so I wanted to give it another try, which wasn't the best idea. Long story short, most of the time it's third-party plugins that create errors and crashes. And yes, you're absolutely right, fatal crashes can also be caused by many more things, but let's stick with the most common one. So in this scenario, Cubase booted normally, but when I loaded the project file, after a few seconds, Cubase just disappeared. Needless to say that this is really bad, because I realized I couldn't load my project anymore, and of course I feared that I could lose all my hard work. So let's try to create a workaround so that we can open the project anyway and remove the broken plugin or whatever. So here's what you can do when this happens to you. Start Cubase again, and when the Save Mode screen appears, choose Deactivate third-party plugins this time. The program will start without third-party plugins, which enables you to open the project file again. Of course, you will see a list with all the plugins that couldn't be loaded, but don't worry, that's totally fine. Click OK. Now just remove the track with the VST that causes the problem. Maybe it's also possible to only remove the plugin from the track in case you already got some parts on the track that you don't want to lose. Or even better, just copy existing parts onto another track. Then save the project under a new name, close the project and restart Cubase again. And this time it should boot normally, and you don't have to explicitly tell Cubase to load all the third-party plugins again. It does it automatically. And now it should be possible to open the project again, of course the one with a new name, right? And now that the stress is over, it's maybe a good idea to find out what's wrong with that broken plugin, because it's too sad, we don't want to lose our plugins that way. And perhaps you only missed an update, and a simple reinstall could fix the problem. The Save Mode screen also gives you the option to send the error file to Steinberg so that they can look into it. Also keep your Cubase up to date. Personally, I open the Steinberg Download Assistant once a month to see if there are any updates. And I do the best I can to keep my whole computer system clean and up to date. Because elsewise it can happen that your PC crashes with a blue screen. And that's really bad. It's actually the worst thing that can happen to a computer. And I cannot help you with that. Because so far we only talked about a program crash, okay? A piece of software that stops working. But a blue screen is a crash of your whole computer system and can be caused by many different things, like viruses or damaged installation of your OS, or a damaged hardware component, like for example, I had a damaged motherboard a few years ago, and this caused a hell of a lot of problems until it finally, died. And also one more tip for you. Check your cable connections, and especially the thin USB cables. It's very dangerous to work with broken, damaged cables that you connect to your computer. But like I already said, this has nothing to do with Cubase, and I cannot really help you with this sort of problems. So I really hope you don't run into a blue screen problem, and I could help you with this video. Like I've said, most of the time my Cubase crashes, it's one of these two errors I talked about. So if the Save Mode screen appears and you don't have no idea why, because there wasn't a problem last time you closed Cubase, just ignore it and start Cubase with all third-party plugins. And if Cubase starts correctly but loading a project ends up crashing, start Cubase without third-party plugins, open the project, remove the problematic plugin, save under a new name and close everything properly. And next time everything should run normally again, but you still want to find out what's wrong with that freaking plugin. And if you can't fix it, delete it, forget about it, never look back. And if you experience different errors and crashes and want to share your thoughts and workarounds, use the comment section. Also, please don't forget to leave a like before you go and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. So long. I thank you very much for watching and hope to see you soon in the next one.